Hi guys, in today's class we'll be speaking about authentication 2 in module 3. So what do you mean by authentication and what and all we're going to see in this authentication 2? So what do you mean by authentication? We have studied in authentication 1 itself. In authentication 2 we'll be reading about centralized authentication, the NEEDHAM-SCHROEDER protocol. In that NEEDHAM-SCHROEDER protocol, the preliminary version 1, preliminary version 2 and preliminary version 3 we will be speaking about. So what do you mean by centralized authentication and what are the advantages of the centralized authentication we're going to see now. So what do you mean by centralized authentication and what are the advantages? So there are n number of advantages of this secret key cryptography over a public cryptography. So in that, first advantages is a digital certificate and a public key infrastructure, that is PKI, are needed in support of public key cryptography. So by using this, there is a substantial cost to set up and maintain a PKI. So it will also provide the public key and private key operations, and which are relatively slow when compared to a secret key operation. So in secret key cryptography, if the entity communicate with a large number of other entity over a time, it must share a secret key with each other of those parties. So in this, what we're going to see, so in the centralized authentication, in this approach, it will going to elevate the risk to employ trusted third party. So here the trusted third party is KDC. What do you mean by KDC? KDC is key distribution center. So here each user with a KDC and choose a password. So what this A will going to do, A wants to communicate with B. If A wants to communicate with B, it will going to choose a password which is registered in this KDC. So here a password which is of a long-term secret key, which is a function of this password. So the main function of KDC is to securely communicate a fresh common session key to two parties wish to communicate each other. So here in this, what we will going to do in message 1. So here in this message 1, A informs the KDC that it intends to communicate with B. So the KDC generates a random secret key K of AB here, K of AB, and dispatch this to A and B through two encrypted messages, that is EA and EB. So your message 2 is encrypted using a long-term secret key KA that shares with KDC. So message 3 is encrypted with KB, that secret shared between B and the KDC. So here A and B have the subsequent messages during this session using KAB. So the above thing which is, I think the above what I have explained about centralized authentication is clear. So once again, I am going to summarize this. So in this message 1, so message 1, A informs the KDC that it intends to communicate with B. So the KDC will going to generate a random secret key K of AB and dispatches this to A and B. So here the message 2 is encrypted. So here the message 2 is encrypted using a long-term secret KA, and that shares with this KDC. So here message 3 is encrypted using KB, the secret shared between B and KDC. So here both A and B decrypt their messages and obtain a short session key here. This is what decentralized authentication is. So next we are going to see NEEDHAM-SCHROEDER protocol. So in this NEEDHAM-SCHROEDER protocol, what it is going to do, it will going to enhance the protocol to provide a mutual authentication by including challenge response phase. So whatever we have used in centralized authentication, here in this it will going to enhance this in preliminary version 1. So here it will going to provide a mutual authentication by including challenge response phase. So here both the sides, so here in KDCB and A, so these are the both the sides proceed to challenge the other to prove the knowledge of session key. So the session key will be K of AB. So here whatever the challenge will be given, what is the challenge given by this is a nonce. What do you mean by a nonce? A nonce is this R. So this R is a random number which is generated and it will be used only once. So the response involves the determining the nonce and encrypting the nonce with the session key K of AB. So here there are three versions, that is preliminary version 1, preliminary version 2, and preliminary version 3. So here in preliminary version 1, what it will going to do is, in message 1, it will going to send its identity of A to B. So identity of A and B will be sent. So in message 2, in response, a KDC encloses the ticket, that is EB of A, comma, a session key K and AB. So in message 3, what it will going to do, A then forwards the ticket, whatever the ticket we have got here in message 2, it will going to forward the ticket along with the challenge to B. So along with the challenge to B. So here the challenge is this R. This is nonce. Nonce will be the challenge. As I said, nonce is a random number which is generated only once. So this nonce number can be used only once. It will be an unique number. Once the number has been used, it will not going to be reused again. So nonce is of 256 bit. So this is the challenge which will be sent from message 3. So what it will going to do in message 4, R1 determined and the B challenges A with R2. So here A challenges with R1 and in here B will going to challenge with R2. So here message 5 is decremented by A and forwarded to B. So it will going to decrement the R2 by 1 and it will going to send it to B. So this is what the preliminary version 1 is of. So here in this preliminary version 1, there is a man in the middle attack. So man in the middle attack in preliminary version 1. So here the protocol which is shown here is susceptible to an impersonation attack. So here we will going to how the middleman will going to attack on this one, preliminary version 1. So here the attacker X is an insider who shares a long-term key with KDC. So long-term key with KDC. So this X will be an attacker who will be sharing a long-term key with this KDC. So the attacker X intercepts message 1, substitutes B for X and send the modified message to KDC. So in response, a KDC creates a ticket encrypted with X and sends the modified message encrypted with X and sends the modified message to the KDC. So in response, a KDC creates a ticket encrypted with X's long-term key and sends it to a message. So now X intercepts message 3. So here the message 3 will be interrupted by this X, that is an intruder or an attacker. He decrypts the ticket using a long-term secret he shares with KDC. Okay. So he does obtain a session key K of AX. So whichever the thing which has been sent by KDC, that is K of X, will be known now to this X. So message 3 also contains A's challenge R1. Correct. So X uses the session key KAX to decrypt the part of the message containing A's. So A's challenge, he successfully responds to A's challenge in message 4. So X will only reply to the A's message. So thus X successfully impersonates B to A. So X will be acting as B to A. So what A thinks, A will going to think that I am communicating with B, but what X has done, X has impersonate B. So A is communicating with X here. So this is the attack which is done in preliminary version 1. So here we have come across the attack which has been overcome by this preliminary version 2. So here in this preliminary version 2, a simple fix to the protocol is included. So that is B's identity in the encrypted message from the KDC to A. So the modified message is this B. So E of KA, that is K will be the session key of AB, which it needs to communicate it. And here the extra thing what we have added here is B. In preliminary version 1, this was not existing, but in preliminary version 2, this is the extra one what we have added here. So what it will going to do in preliminary version 2, a message 1 will be the identity of both A and B. So in message 2, in response to a KDC, what it will going to do, the KDC encloses the ticket to B, that is EB of A comma a session key K of AB. Now after A receives and decrypts the message 2, after A receives and it will going to decrypt the message this, A will going to check whether B's identity contained inside the message. So the presence of B's identity confirms to A that KDC knows that A wishes to communicate with B. Okay, understood? Now what this message 3 will going to do, A then forwards the ticket along with the challenge to B, that is R1. So the R1 is the nonce which has been sending from A here. So in message 4, what it will going to do, R1 is decremented and B challenges A with R2. So what in message 5 it will going to do, in message 5, R2 is decremented by A and forwarded to B. So here in this preliminary version also, an attacker will going to attack. So how we will going to attack, we will going to see now. So the attacker X does the following. So what it will going to do, X EVS drop and records many of A session with KDC and B over a period of time and steals B's password or a long-term key. So it will going to record the session. So X will going to record the session whichever happening from A. So B recognizes that his password has been stolen and immediately reports the incident to KDC. So B will going to get to know, and it will going to be what it will going to do. B will going to inform it to KDC that my password has been stolen. So what it will going to do, so B will going to obtain a new long-term key, that is KB, which he uses subsequently. So even then the following things will going to happen with this X. So what it will going to do, A wishes to communicate with B and sends in message 1. So in message 2, what it will going to do, X interrupts the KDC. X will going to attack directly on KDC and instead plays a previous recording of the message. So whatever the recorded by this X, he will going to play here. So this message contains a ticket encrypted by B's old key. So B's old key, which has been recorded, will be going to send it to A here. So then what it will going to do, the X then intercepts message 3. So it will going to interrupt this message 3 from A, which contains the old ticket and a fresh challenge to B. And fresh challenge to B, the challenge will be announce R. So because, why? Because X has access to old key, he can decrypt this ticket and recover the session key. So whatever the things has been recorded, it will going to use this recorded versions and it will going to attack on A. So because X knows K of AB, he can respond to A challenge in message 4 by decrementing the challenge. So X response is exactly what A expected to receive from B. Hence, A is convinced that she is talking to B. He or she is talking to B. So what this X is going to do in this, it will going to record the session. By recording, what it will going to know, it will going to use the recorded versions to A, and whatever the A will going to do, which will be replied from X. So what A will going to think, A will going to think that it is communicating with B, but A was actually communicating with X. So here this is what the disadvantages in preliminary 2. So these disadvantages will going to overcome in this preliminary version 3. So in this preliminary version 3, we can fix the vulnerability in version 2 by ensuring the freshness of a message 2. So we're going to check the freshness of this message too. So this is accomplished by sending a fresh nonce in message 1. So in message 1, it will in 1 itself we're going to send a fresh nonce and receiving the confirmation of its received by KDC in message 2. So we're going to send a nonce and we're going to receive an acknowledgement. We're going to receive an acknowledgement from a KDC in message 2 itself. So in next, what we're going to do, so here also there is an attack will going to happen in this preliminary version 3, that is a reply attack. So what it will be, so the version 3 is still not secure despite the modification has been made, as I said. So X, what it will going to do, X could still steal the information still and attack the protocol by recording previous messages and selectively replaying them when the right opportunity presented. So here also it will going to record the previous session, such as it attempts to steal A's passwords, a long-term key. So assume again that A suspects the compromise of his password and promptly reports this to KDC. So in preliminary version 2, what was B was doing? B was reporting to KDC, but here A is reporting to KDC. So A is reporting to KDC. So in this, he attempts to steal A's password or a long-term key. Assume again that A suspect the compromise. Once again, I'm repeating it. A suspect the compromise of his password, and it will going to report this to the KDC without any delay. So X then, what this X will going to do then? So X then manages to steal A's long-term key that he shares with KDC and performs an impersonation attack. So how it is going to perform, I'm going to explain now. A is the old password generated by a key. So where it is A dash, sorry, here it is A dash is the password, old password generated by key. So A will be just A. So here it is A dash. So A will be the new password generated by key. Using the compromised old key, that is A dash, X can decrypt this message and recover the old session key K of AB. So by using this A dash, he can recover the old session key, that is K of A dash B. That is this one. K of A dash B, it will going to recover. So the old ticket EB will going to encrypt. So this is my old ticket EB of A comma K A dash B. So to impersonate A, X will going to do these things. So what it will going to do, X sends the old ticket and a challenge R1. So encrypted with a session key of old session key. So what in message 2 will going to do, in message 2, message 1 to B, and what B will going to do, B responds X's challenge, B responds to this X challenge and also communicate his own challenge R2. So it will going to send an R2 to this X. So because X has the session key, he responds to the challenge by encrypting R2 with the session key. So B receives the response and convinced that he is talking to A. This is what the thing will going to happen in version 3 also. So we're going to see the Kerberos in next class. Thank you guys.